Found out yesterday that a friend of mine and a friend of the program was getting a nice Lifetime Achievement honor from the NBA. I don't know how he feels about Lifetime Achievement Awards, but I thought it was pretty cool, so I thought we'd have him on. Any excuse to get Frank Layden on my show is always a good excuse to have Frank Layden on my show. The Chuck Daly Lifetime Achievement Award winner in coaching joins us right now on the Bill Riley Show. Hey, Frank, how are you?
Well, good, Bill. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Congrats on the award. When did you find out?
Thank you. It was well deserved and long overdue. What can I say? It's just like yourself. We're so fortunate to have you here, and every year we have to put up. Are we going to lose Bill Riley? Where's he going to go to another market? You and I could patent together and go anywhere in the world, probably.
Yeah, but you and I we like it here though, so that's a good thing.
We do?
Oh well, I do at least. You've stayed here long enough. What have you been here now? 45 years?
Truth. I've been here 40 years. Listen, we're here in the Witness Protection Program. Tell the truth, will you?
Oh my gosh! I was looking back at your resume, Frank. 84.
It's dismal, isn't it?
No, it's great. 84 was a great year for you. NBA Coach of the Year, All-Star Game Coach, the Kennedy Citizenship Award, and the NBA Executive of the Year. Yeah, I don't know. You must have made a deal with the devil at 84, man, because you had a hell of a year in 84.
I should have walked away right then, I should have said goodbye. Yeah, I should have, at that time, put out feelers. Who knows? I could have ended up with the Lakers or the Knicks or something, But instead, I humbly stayed here with the Millers and threw my body on the fire and continued to stay with the Jazz. And it was a good thing I did too, because if you look what came next, a new building and just a great reputation. I pick up the paper this morning, and the commissioner is saying, the Jazz do it right. You know what I mean? And he knows which side his bread is buttered on. What can I say?
You dealt with a couple of commissioners. You dealt with Larry O'Brien when he was running it, and then of course you dealt with David Stern as well. Do you have any relationship at all with Adam Silver?
Well, I met him the other day for the first time at the awards when I got the award up in Toronto, and we exchanged words, and I told him, I said, you filled big shoes, but you've done it very well. I'm really very impressed with him. I think he's an advanced thinking guy, and I said, listen, any way I can help you, I'll be happy to do it. And he said, listen, I'll be in touch with you. And so a relationship was started right there. I wanted to find out who his barber was, but he wouldn't reveal that.
Yeah, he's probably his own barber with a straight razor because
I think so. He uses one of those razors you sell.
Yeah, those Harry's razors, absolutely.
Harry's razor. I was going to say this. All the times that I've been a guest on the show, I listen and you have on these wonderful people. I think it would behoove you to maybe as a little gift say to the people, and for being on the show tonight, you're a recipient of a Harry's razor. And, it would only cost you $1.50 or whatever they cost, and it would be great.
And no shipping. Yeah, it'd be like the old Merv Griffin show. For appearing on tonight's show, you get a bag of dog food and a lifetime supply of Mr. Peanuts.
Well, there's something to that, yes.
Yeah.
I think it would be great. Yeah, but anyway, Adam Silver, yes, I think he's doing a great job, and it doesn't get easier. Let's face it, with these big salaries and what have you. But I had the privilege of knowing and working with Larry O'Brien, and I'll tell you, he was a hero, one of my heroes. He was close to the Kennedy family, and I remember we were having the league meetings in New York City. And we had a big party, and my sisters, I had two maiden sisters who lived in Brooklyn, New York, and they were big Democrats and big Kennedy followers and everything. And I brought them over, and I said, Commissioner, would you give a couple of minutes to these two women who just love President Kennedy and everything? I mean, he ended up spending 45 minutes with them and telling stories about his relationships with the Kennedys and everything. I mean, he was a wonderful guy. But it was really funny when he came here to see the Jazz play. He was shocked when we were still wearing the same sweatsuits with the Superdome on the back of them from New Orleans, and that's the truth. He saw that and he said, "I can't believe it." I said, "This is the way this outfit operates. You know, when they buy sweatsuits, they'll buy them one outfit at a time. You know, and then eventually we'll get 11 for the whole team or 12 for the whole team."
Did you have to wear them until you wore them out? Is that what it was?
I'm going to tell you, he said, first of all, he says, you got to get rid of those suits and you got to get rid of this building, the Salt Palace, you know.
Yeah.
It was a sad situation. You know, it was below a baseball. It was under the stadium. It was terrible. But look at what we got now, huh?
It's fantastic. It's absolutely
you know,
fantastic.
One of the things I did, I was up at the game the other night in Toronto, and I said this to my family. And by the way, it was a great award. You know, certainly Chuck Daly, who it's named after, was a very good friend of mine forever. I knew him as a young man, and you know, he was just a great guy. We were young coaches. We saw each other at camps and stuff like that. We were just starting out. But anyway, with that said, I was telling my family that the other thing was that they were with me. They were able to come with me to Toronto and share in the award, be there during the press conference, be there during the presentation. I mean, by accident, I don't know if you heard this, but even President Obama snuck in at the last minute. Talk about trying to steal my thunder.
I was going to say, you, Obama, and Drake were all in the building at the same time. That's
Drake,
a big three.
They ought to arrest Drake. I mean, I don't know how he gets away with it. But anyway, but President Obama, I mean, and you know, there was a lot of people that they questioned it, but I have to say that I think my applause was a little bit louder and a little bit, you know, the standing ovation. They didn't have anybody else to compare me with, so that was the end of that. But anyway, we had President Obama there, my family there, and everything else. But what I started to say was, it reminded me, and I mean this, Toronto, it reminded me of the old Jazz.
Yeah.
The people there, this is their first rodeo. They're doing everything right. I mean, the spirit there was terrific. The throngs of people outside. I mean, it was all day long. All right, waiting Sunday for that night on the streets, in the hotel lobby. Everybody was talking about the big game tonight and everything. And I said, doesn't this remind you of the first time the Jazz went not only to the finals, but just to the playoffs? The excitement was electric. And, you know, Toronto is a big city. The population of Toronto is twice the size of the population of Utah.
Yep.
I mean, this and that, of course, with their hockey experiences and things like that. But it's a beautiful building. It's a great building to watch hockey and basketball from. And I just got the feeling. I said, "Gee, I'm so happy for these people because I can remember us going through the same thing." Great fans, they really were.
Yeah, it's a great sports, and I've kind of called it, Frank. And I know from your time at Niagara, I imagine Niagara's only maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours from Toronto.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's about 70 miles away, and Jack Armstrong. I don't know if you know who Jack is. He's one of the broadcasters for the Raptors. Used to be the coach at Niagara. So we saw so many people, so many friends from Niagara days, and of course the writers and what have you. You know, they in those days Niagara was a big time team. We played in the Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo, and it was one of those things that you only see in the East. Small Catholic school of about 2,100 students, and our arena rate sat 18,000. You know, it was, and we had, you know, Calvin Murphy, and,
sure.
and of course when I played there, you know. My roommate was Hubie Brown, who was there the other night, by the way, broadcasting for ESPN, and also the great Larry Costello played for us, and So we had a lot of good memories and a lot of fun, and it was a great day.
It really was. I almost said Frank Dolce. Frank Layden with us here on the Bill Riley Show today.
That's okay. I liked Frank Dolce. He's a great guy,
Dolce's a good dude, too. You mentioned something I want to go back to for just a second. You said you stayed here with the Jazz and the Millers. Did you ever consider, when you started having success here with the Jazz, taking another job? Did you ever was the Knicks ever a job you wanted? Being a New Yorker, did you ever desire to go back and coach in New York City?
I think I grew up. I have to say this. As a youngster, I remember the beginning of the NBA, and New York would have been certainly something that was attractive that way. I did have some feelers. To tell you the truth, I heard from the Nets. I heard from Milwaukee. I heard from Miami to be their first coach down there. They were feelers put out and what have you, and calls were put in to have permission to talk with me from to Mr. Miller, Larry Miller. And you're always tempted, but I never, Bill, and I really mean this, and I say this to young coaches and what have you. And I had a chance to meet the two coaches in the playoffs. The other day, Steve Kerr and Norris. I hadn't known either of them or met them before, and I said to them both the same thing. I said, "Good luck, enjoy the moment, and make sure that you do this as long as you're having fun." And when it isn't fun anymore, get out. And so, sometimes it may seem better. One day, when I see some of these players, they want to go to another venue. If they're doing it just for the money, I don't know how many suits you can have, how many steaks you can eat, how many millions can you have. There's got to be some limit to that. But you've got to have good teammates. You've got to have a good coach. You've got to have a good owner. You've got to have an atmosphere that's good. That's so important because you go through here so quickly, and no one knows. It's funny. Who Frank Layden? What did he do or something like that? No one knows how many games I won or lost or care. I break it down into moments that were exciting. 1984, the All-Star game, having a chance to coach the All-Stars and have the greatest players in the world on my team, and have two of my children as a ball boy and a ball girl, and have my son Scott as an assistant coach. And those are moments that are priceless. And so I mentioned knowing Larry O'Brien, knowing David Stern. These guys were giants. But the assistant coach in the All-Star game for me was George Mikan. I had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I had Magic Johnson. And which I saw Magic last year at the Dodger game, and we sat together a while. And what did we talk? We were talking about the game, about the All-Star game, and we started relationships. Red Auerbach, who I not considered a friend, a good friend. So those are the things that are so much more important I think later in life than just money. And I think sometimes these players, maybe they're listening to their agents, maybe they're listening to their families, or you're not getting treated fairly and what have you. But the excitement should be that, hey, I'm so good that I'm taking this team to the highest level that they ever possibly could be. We only know Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls, North Carolina, where he took both teams to the highest hill they could possibly attain. How about John Stockton, Karl Malone, Mark Eaton, Thurl Bailey? These kind of guys. It's almost blasphemous. We don't think of Babe Ruth. People don't realize he didn't end his career with the Yankees. He ended dismally with the Red Sox. So. No, I think there's something as staying, not only staying and playing for the community, but staying afterwards and continuing to live in that community. I think there should be something said about that.
No, that's why I think it's so strange we're hearing all this conversation about Kevin Durant wanting to leave. He's got a pretty good situation at Golden State. They're winning a lot of
course he
basketball. And Frank, sometimes I think guys that have won so much forget what it's like to lose and be part of losing situations. It's pretty good at Golden State, isn't it?
Well, you know what? It was pretty good at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
State.
that too.
Oklahoma
City.
The Thunders. Yeah, I mean, what are you kidding me? You know, and there's something about the challenge too. I mean, you can get on a team and surround yourself with other good players, and eventually you win the championship. But isn't it something if you're the one that can take your team to the championship? You know, I grew up in Brooklyn, and all those years it was wait till next year. You know, we had a great team, an absolutely great team. I'm talking about Reese and Robinson and Ferrello and Snyder and Campanella and Hall of Famers and great pitchers and you know what? When we finally won the championship, I mean, it tasted so good. And for years we had to face the Yankees. The Yankees had greater resources. They had wonderful players, but it made it so rich and so wonderful when we finally did win. And what did we do? We not only won the championship, 2 years later we were history. We were out of there. And that changed the face of sports. The Dodgers and the Giants leaving New York, and that's a shame. But I think wouldn't it have been rich if, say, Durant, and I'm not criticizing Durant. I don't know. I don't look in his refrigerator or look at his family tree. I don't know what he has in mind. He seems like a wonderful young man, and I think he's a great player. But wouldn't it have been something if he had taken Oklahoma to the championship?
Yeah.
That would have been some challenge.
Well,
the same thing with LeBron. LeBron's greatest achievement was winning the championship for Cleveland. My goodness.
Yeah, winning in Miami was great, but when he brought that championship to his hometown where they had never won, it was unbelievable.
That was good, and I think these guys certainly, Kawhi and who's a wonderful player and everything. And when we were down on the floor and I was looking at how big and strong these guys are, they're amazing athletes. But let's just leave it at that. Like I said, how many steaks can you eat? How many suits can you wear? How many cars can you own? And enjoy the moment. As I told the two coaches the other night, I said, hey, remember this moment. Have fun. It's not going to go on forever. This is not a dress rehearsal. And I got a great response from both of the coaches. They thanked me, and I said, enjoy the moment because it goes by quickly.
Well, enjoy the award, Frank. We're up against a commercial break. I want to get together with you soon and bring you some Harry's razors.
We've already put the award up for sale. So you can put it up there with Jimmy's razors or whatever you're selling there.
We'll do. We'll put it right. We'll throw in some Harry's razors to go along with Frank's award if you want to buy it.
Yes, Harry's razors, and if you buy enough of them, you become eligible to get Frank Layden's Chuck Daly award.
That sounds great. Hey, thanks, Frank. Tell Barbara I said hey.
Together. I know there's plenty of times that people ignore you, so when they do, just call me and I'll fill the gap.
I had a great man once tell me nobody's listening, and he was
Nobody's
probably right.
Listening anyway. Hey, go Utes! Well, I can't wait for the football season to start.
Me too, Frank. I'll talk to you soon.
86 days to go?
86.
I'll be there.
We'll see you later.
Okay, buddy. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Frank. Frank Layden with us here on the